What's going on, everybody? Eric Lindquist at Stochastic here on the OddsShopper channel, coming in with a Week 11 edition of Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks NFL Streets. Hit that like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Goes a long way for me on this video. Goes a long way for you. That way you become a prize whenever great content is going live here at our little neck of the YouTube woods. What a time to be alive. Maybe got the camera situation figured out for the first time in a long time. Either way, StreamYard doing some different stuff, yada, yada, yada. You don't care about that. You care about the picks. And, well, Monday, we got all the locks and likes across the board. On Thursday, we got all the likes and the lock. Thank you, Jalen Hurts, for doing what you were supposed to do there. And also for Saquon Barkley getting tackled at the one, or inside of the one, basically it was. And then he scores 2 touchdowns after that. But you know what? We get Philly minus 3.5 easily across, -4 if you jumped in a little bit later. And of course, Jalen Hurts touchdown gets there. So let's keep this momentum going. Again, the primetime games have been awesome. Last Sunday was actually pretty awesome too. So I'm not going to complain in terms of NFL. NBA, looking for a bounce back here Friday, but I'm recording this Friday right before the NBA starts up. So let's get to it here. Tails, our only sponsor that we're going to be talking about this entire program. We have a link join. You guys can sign up for one of the 11 sites that we'll talk about here in a little bit. And well, you can get a head start on that down below and get a free month of my Discord, be able to talk to me about all of the ins and outs of why I'm playing certain things. People are DMing me, talking to me every single day. I appreciate it. But without further ado, lots of games. Thank God we have no European madness in the morning here, so don't have to wake up too early, even though I am very tired and allergies are terrible. But anywho, you don't care about that either. Producer Jacob, let's get to the picks. Oh, darling. Oh, my darling. Baltimore, Pittsburgh. This is not a game that you would traditionally see a 48.5 total, but you for sure would have a 48.5 total if you watched either of these teams play so far this season. It's been insanity. Pittsburgh with Russell Wilson here, Mike Tomlin, he gets a lot of flack, and I've probably given him his fair share of it here. It helps to have a generational talent in a Ben Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown combination to be able to make you look good for a long time. But anywho, he made a great decision there. Obviously, no matter what you want to say, this offense has been firing on all cylinders. Najee Harris even adding a little bit there on the ground, because best compliment that you have to a running game is a passing game. George Pickens, I didn't know Arthur Smith had that dog in him to be able to make some play calls, but obviously terrible head coach, good offensive coordinator. So we're going to continue on our merry way. I think this is an interesting one, though, purely because Derrick Henry up against a Pittsburgh defense. I think we're all excited to see that to some extent, but the more I dig into this one, the more I realize that this has nothing that either team. We're going to see points. Kyle Hamilton's probably going to be out there for the Baltimore Ravens. And if he's out, that's the best defensive player that they've got on that side of the ball. With him removed, with Russell Wilson cooking for once in his life, 48.5 is a weird number that I like the over of, but it's at -106 over on FanDuel right now, inside of -110. I would bet that's at 49 inside of -110 as well. So either or, whatever you have access to, I like it. Lamar, keep going. Russell, keep cooking. What a time to be alive. And to our most lopsided game, I think, of the season, Jacksonville, 14 points that they are getting here against Detroit. Now, there are a lot of 13.5s that exist here, and the -115 plus 14 that exists over at BetMGM. This was the closest I came to playing a spread on this slate. Now, it's kind of wild because I have a ton of props. I have a lot of totals that exist on this one, but I don't currently, as of right now, have a bet on a spread. This, I almost pulled the trigger on and made this a like, but we have enough other plays that exist, and I bet I have a spread or two that I'm going to post in Tails for sure that'll show up at some point in time as numbers are moving. Obviously, it gets more hyper efficient as the week goes on, and things have kind of been bet into a place here on Friday that I kind of agree with almost every single game with. We'll talk through a couple of them that I have some interest. There's a key number if something moves a half point, if something just tips over, and this is one where I would want to get inside of -110 to be able to play it, because again, -115, the implied odds just go up to a place where I don't think you're making money in the long term. And my goal is to give you good bets. And oh boy, Detroit on the other side, they're just so freaking good. I do have some concerns still. I mean, Smith just looked awesome right off the bat there. I don't think we're going to see Jared Goff 5 interceptions coming down the mountain when he comes again. It's such an interesting handicap, because Mac Jones is just so hard to get a grasp on. And the more I think about it, the more you've seen such blowout wins for the Lions here at home. Obviously, they're one loss there too at home against Tampa Bay, but I just think this ends up being a pass at the end of it. I think if you've got that gumption like I do, again, the Lions are 7-2 against the spread. We're talking one of the best teams you could potentially be betting, and I'm looking at going against them. That's why I'm making it a lean, purely because the math is saying, hey, you should be taking this at 14 inside of minus 112. And right now, it's at minus 115. We shall sit. We shall wait. That's about as uncomfortable as it gets. Let's talk about the most uncomfortable prop that may or may not end up on my card here. Los Angeles Rams, New England here in this spot. And injury news, not a lot of it here on the Rams side. They got Cooper Kupp back. They got all of these pieces on the Rams side, specifically Puka Nacua. Well, he didn't punch anybody in the face last week. So good job, Puka. That's growth, bro. That's growth. But they got their butts kicked by Miami. Kind of a wild game, weird game, if you ask me. Some strange stuff, even on the Miami side. But hey, Tua did enough in that one. As for New England, the more I dig into this team, the more I'm kind of liking Drake May and potentially backing New England in this spot. This is one of those that isn't going to show up in the lean category, but I definitely have interest in taking 4.5 points, potentially 5. Can I get the 5? That would be very helpful on the New England side. I think Drake May is a much better quarterback than what I was anticipating him to be here at this level. And he's doing it with relatively limited players around him. I mean, obviously, Ramondre Stevenson can be a dude, but hasn't even had like 100% of him activated there. It's been a brutal New England team to try to gauge at times, but a fantastic win there against Chicago. Made them look silly. Got, well, they didn't get Eberflus out of there, but they got, some of the other, they got the road to Chicago figured out a little bit here, but I'm looking at Kayshon Boutte. This is a guy that I didn't even know who he was really coming out of school. Went to LSU, so maybe that's why, just one of a million type dudes out there, but his ADOT is getting out of control. We're seeing 18, 19, 20 in a number of these games. And those who don't know, ADOT, average depth of target. When you're getting these long downfield type shots, you only need like 1 or 2 potentially to pay off your receiving yard props. But they're kind of inflated to a place where I don't even want to deal with that. It's strange because a lot of his catches have resulted in shorter ADOT spots, but Drake May is going to be pushing his limits here. And now, Kayshon Boutte has played over 60 snaps in the last 2 weeks here for New England. He is locked into a full-time role, and his prop is sitting at 17.5 longest receptions. Longest reception is at 17.5, minus 112 at Bet Rivers. But it's at 18.5 everywhere else, and I'm limited at Bet Rivers, so I don't have a betting ticket that could potentially be there. If you have Bet Rivers access, 17.5 longest reception, I like it. I just can't get any money down on it. And then Kayshon Boutte, I'm telling you, 18.5, it doesn't sound like a big deal, but at minus 110, minus 115 still, for the same thing that's a yard less, I feel like just kind of waiting and seeing what else shows up throughout the weekend. Cleveland and New Orleans, another game that kind of has potential sneaky shootout potential. Did I say potential twice there? I think I did. But anywho, we got Jameis Winston at the helm here. New Orleans on the other side. Obviously, no Marshawn Lattimore there anymore. Well, he's not even playing for Washington, and they would very much like that here at the moment, especially what we saw there against Philly. But minus 115 is my biggest problem here, sitting at 44. If this were, again, minus 110 or better, again, Eric, it's just 5 cents. You need to be very sensitive to VIG, and that's something I try to preach a lot, pretty much in every sport, but especially when we're talking about the NFL, where these are pretty efficient numbers. Out of every sport, sports books really know how much action is coming in on each one of these individual games. It behooves them to be accurate. It behooves them to be, sharper than other spots. And if a shop is willing to hang a number that nobody else is, again, it's sitting at 44.5, 45 in a number of places, but it's currently at 44 at Bet365. Damn good find. Why don't you suck it to me one more time? Get low. Over 44. We're going to be leaning that direction for right now. I still think it's just on the outside looking in. Want that VIG to come down. Otherwise, it will not be a click. But I do expect both offenses should find success here. Just dust off all these old crusty guys. MVS, what are we even doing here? The guy had 2 touchdowns the other weekend. How many anytime touchdowns did I bet for him in Kansas City? Oh, he just needed Derek Carr in his life. Yeah, Patrick Mahomes wasn't good. Indy taking on the Jets, Jets, Jets. Man, was it brutal watching that Arizona game, but it was kind of fun because I'm a Viking fan, and Aaron Rodgers being miserable makes me happy. Anyway, we got an interesting one for sure on docket here because the Jets, 3-6, they've slid way by the wayside. I mean, they are way on the outside looking at the playoffs here at the moment, and I don't see a whole lot of hope for them here. But Devontae Adams was sick. he's ending up going to be a go here in this spot. I mean, there's a lot of wide receivers coming back in. We got Nico Collins. He's going to be 100% go on Monday night. I'm excited to talk about that one. We'll have a Monday night Lindy's, don't you worry. And those things have been hot, like HOTT, hot. I should learn how to spell. But anyway, the more I break this game down, the more it comes down to Anthony Richardson at the quarterback position here for Indy. And some of these numbers plummeted immediately. Now, they bring Joe Flacco in for 2 games. They play like the most blitz-heavy guys in the entire planet. But then last week against Buffalo, not a lot of blitzes. This offensive line maybe is just falling by the wayside in pass pro. Jonathan Taylor had no problem getting it done on the ground. Didn't find the box, which was kind of interesting, and screwed over one of my buddies who had an anytime touchdown. But we don't care about that. We care about the health of Davante Adams here on the Jets side too, making sure that he's going to be good to go, and he is. However, the more I look into the Jets as far as like what they had best schematically going for them at the beginning of the season, or at least when they weren't looking like complete dog shit like we saw against Arizona, it was Tyler Conklin. Now, Tyler Conklin was questionable coming into last week, but with another week underneath his wings, I think he'll be out on the field more. They need him. They need him to help out, to take some of the diversion. They need him as a diversion away from Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson. And I think he gets a little bit more involved against Indy that started to give it up to the tight end position. I'm not a big defensive versus position guy when it comes to certain things schematically, but this one makes sense, getting the seam of the field. Tyler Conklin, 2.5 receptions, it was at plus money for a hot second on FanDuel. Now sitting at minus 106, excuse me. And his anytime touchdown is plus 425 over at BetMGM. I have some other anytime touchdowns coming up, including it's in 2 games. I think our lock is coming. I've got a really fun one for Sunday Night Football too, but interesting anytime touchdown market, as this one kind of was one I thought I would end up firing right from the get-go, but I think I just want to get more clarity on Davante Adams' health just before Sunday, make sure that he's good to go, make sure nothing crazy happens in the morning, and then I can't imagine these numbers are going to move all that much. Let's go to Tennessee, Nashville. It's like, I don't know, I think I have a bachelor party to go to in like 2 months in Nashville. That'll be fun. What do I do in Nashville? Just drink and listen to country music? Not go to Tennessee Titans football game. They won't be in the playoffs. So, blam! Minnesota, my Minnesota Vikings hopefully will be minus 6.5 going here to Tennessee. And yeah, I'm a little bit disturbed by what I saw against Jacksonville. That's for sure. You saw the 3 interceptions. It was not pretty. And that was a Jacksonville team that they should have decimated. They did not even get the cover. I'm so happy it was only a half unit play. And it's so funny because, you know, whether it's the Minnesota Timberwolves, the one time I bet on them there at minus 9 in Portland, they get smashed. They've actually lost both games to Portland there. But then I bet my Vikings for like the one time all year. I'm a homer now. Oh, Eric's a homer. No, I'm not. I just thought it was a pretty positive EV play. And if you don't have three interceptions there from Sam Darnold, things look a little bit better. But I have respect for Tennessee's defense. That's something that I've said a lot this season. I've kind of seen the light where there's a number of interesting ways that they end up putting up points on the, or, you know, not preventing points on the board from the Minnesota side. I think Aaron Jones, I mean, I just wish we had Darrisaw. That's really what it comes down to. It is so hard. I'm working here. I love you, honey. Don't hurt me. I'm definitely taking this under, though. 39.5. It's on the board. It should be on your board. These are good things. Under 39.5. The production value here, beautiful. How about this for production, friends? Eric's Tails package, completely free. You guys want to come hang out in Tails? You want to make sure I never, ever, 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 ever have to do another sportsbook read on this program ever again? Well, sign up at one of these sportsbooks so you have an opportunity to sign up and play. They're also pick 'em on the left side of the screen, depending on what state you're in, and rebet. That is available to almost everybody in the entire United States, 46 of the 50 states. Check it out. And when you do, you get the awesome promo codes and all of the offers that they have over at these sites. But then you get my Tails package for free. That's a $50 value, $0 to you. All you do is sign up, use one of these beautiful, well, I mean, you have to do all 4 steps. You just simply take the screenshot of your welcome email and first settle bet and email support at oddshopper.com. It's an awesome opportunity to come kick it with me. We have an unbelievable community, super sharp people daily, talking picks, talking plays. Come kick it with me. Alrighty, y'all, back to the picks. See, quick, easy, efficient. Sign up. Come kick it with me. Then I never have to do that again. That'd be great. Vegas taking on Miami in this spot. And yeah, Vegas, they've kind of hit a jet on the season, wouldn't you say? I mean, not even on purpose. They're just terrible and awful and no good and very bad. And Devontae Adams, they traded him away, and, well, they kept Max Crosby. Kind of an interesting situation there. I'm very curious. Very curious. But Tyreek Hill, we saw the wrist injury. He's going to have to play through this the rest of the year, but sitting at 70.5 for a receiving yard prop against Vegas, oh boy, that's an interesting one. However, it didn't make the card for right now purely because there is a play that I'm even more obsessed with. And it's something that we just saw in terms of usage in that primetime spot. Now, Miami goes up against the Rams. They take them down. It was beautiful. Monday night action. It was fantastic overall. Tua Tagovailoa, nice to see him get kneed in the head and be just fine. That was kind of stupid. Don't do that. Well, don't throw the pick either. But I'm looking at Devon Achane. We've talked about him a lot on this program, and I was actually on the under of his receiving yards prop against the Rams. Started to get a little bit inflated for my liking, and we had the lock on Kyren Williams on the over of his receiving yards. He got there despite a -10 first catch in that first quarter. I lost my mind. It's weird because I'm such a calm individual, but the more I rerun things, the more that Devon Achane is just breaking my anytime touchdown numbers. Now, these have been really successful, and, shout out my guy Dracula Jones hanging out in the Discord daily. He's always asking me, Eric, can you give me your top 4, top 5 touchdowns? And, well, he's kind of been printing and doing a pretty good job. In fact, it helped us land on a George Kittle plus 155 lock from last week. He has that unbelievable end zone catch against Tampa. Anytime touchdown model has been hot. Now, part of it is because I'm very, very particular. I'm very odds sensitive when it comes to the anytime touchdown numbers. We'll talk about that for Sunday Night Football here. This is on this video, so you don't have to go anywhere. But don't touch that dial for a second, because Devon Achane is sitting inside of -150 at a couple of books in the anytime touchdown market. Based on his usage, that is an asinine, ridiculous fact. He should be closer to -180 here because he is getting all of the carries inside of the 5 right now. Raheem Mostert got 0 carries against the Los Angeles Rams. Now, there is a possibility that he gets those goal line carries coming back, but with the rapport we've seen where Raheem Mostert is basically just sent to the shadow realm here at the moment and playing a little bit on third downs, but Jalen Wright is kind of the guy getting mixed in, and he's definitely not going to be your goal line back based on usage and how he goes about his life, barring injury, of course. But Devon Achane, his receiving game role as well. He's basically the wide receiver 2 here for Miami. Jalen Waddle, a little bit of a pulse there last time out, but the more I rerun this, there are so many ways Devon Achane has a sublime game against a Vegas team that just has nothing that they can throw at him and Tua and this offense. It's going to come down to McDaniel. Just keep doing what you're doing. Devon Achane is going to have a couple of those dynamic, ridiculous runs for 75 yards we saw at the tail end of last year. I mean, we've only had 4 active weeks with Tua here this season. Don't forget that. And despite some close losses, I mean, there were close losses in competitive spots. Arizona's looked a lot better than people expected. That was a close loss at home here. I think Miami puts the foot down here. I think 7's pretty efficient for what it's worth, but I very much love Devon Achane touchdown here. I also will be looking at 2+ touchdowns. We haven't thrown one of those out this entire season. You can't triple stamp, but double stamp. You can't triple stamp, but double stamp. But you can bet 2 touchdowns when it's better than +400 on a guy that I have closer to -180 for the singular touchdown. Whew, that was a long one. Interesting running back situation here. I think Marshawn Lloyd comes back. First time in a long time here for Green Bay, and Josh Jacobs himself is dinged up. We'll get some clarity here. I haven't gotten the afternoon practice report here from Green Bay yet, but I got a lot of what's coming for Chicago here, and that is more pain and suffering. However, this is kind of a buy low spot on a new situation. You see Green Bay going up here against Chicago, and massive piece that they're going to be missing potentially. Jair Alexander questionable. I've got him tilted more towards sitting here in this spot in Chicago on the road, and that could open up an opportunity for them to be very, very, very successful here in this spot. That's the Bears. The first time in a long time, potentially, where Caleb Williams could be unburdened by what has been. Some people get that joke. It didn't go very well. Anyway, Caleb Williams, guys, he's going to be still underneath the reign of Eberflus, but the play calling duties now being subsided from Shane Waldron, fired as the offensive coordinator there in Chicago. I don't know that it means a ton for everybody here because you still have a sack rate that's outrageous for Caleb Williams. He's not making quick decisions. There's no doubt that there were some open receivers on some of those patterns, but you need to kind of cue your quarterback in and have him figure out those reads. And offensive coordinator's job. Well, that didn't make good play calls. Let's call some play calls for DJ Moore, 43.5 receiving yards. This guy was north of 60 receiving yards for like a majority of the season. This is just a buy low on a new situation, on new circumstances. I have to kind of invest here. And the idea that Jair Alexander could potentially be out here only piques my interest more. And they add more hops to it. We got Atlanta taking on Denver in this spot, and Drake London sounds like another week healthier. That's good because, well, Darnell Mooney's kind of turned into the go-to guy here in some of these spots for Kirk Cousins. Didn't end up coming to fruit. 10 targets against New Orleans. They end up losing a close one. And New Orleans with Derek Carr back in the helm. And again, MVS. I could just scream. People who have watched my analysis for the last couple of years know how much I used to think MVS was going to be a thing. He's a thing randomly in a week 10 for a New Orleans team treading water, firing Dennis Allen and whatever. We've got Atlanta in this spot, and Mile High, I was a little surprised to see 43.5. There's actually some 44.5s out there, but despite what we've seen here from Denver, Bo Nix is starting to get that ADOT. It's starting to get down the field. We're starting to see him air it out a little bit more. 7.7, 6.8, 7.2 yards per reception here, as opposed to the 3.3 we saw against Seattle, 2.4 we saw against the Jets. Some of those really short ADOT games where he wasn't getting it downfield, but right around an 83 passer rating, nearly 2,000 yards, 10 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. This is a guy who had a long college football experience, going from Auburn his freshman season, going to Oregon for a couple of years, obviously, and had a very successful tenure there. Quack, quack, Sco Ducks, whatever. But Denver overall is still going to be defensively minded, and we've seen a little bit of a change. I know Audric Esteem is somebody that a lot of people have interest. He was a huge waiver wire pickup in fantasy. He had 14 carries, 53 yards. That doesn't have to continue. That's my big worry, is that Audric Esteem was more of a result of trying to inspire McLaughlin. I will remember you. And Javonte Williams, there's nothing cute and punny that I have there. North Carolina, you went there. Come on and raise up, take your shirt off, twist around your head, spin like a helicopter. I've been doing that a lot lately. But Drake London, over 5.5 receptions. That's where I'm going to be going here specifically, because he's got to be the number one for this team. And after his usage last week, I think it was more of him being dinged up. But 12 targets, 8 receptions, looked pretty good to me. Feed the man, and at even money, I think you got to bet this for sure. This is the second closest I got to betting a spread or an individual spot. Seattle taking on San Francisco, 6.5 points they are laying at home, and I think you got to be interested by what you saw from Christian McCaffrey in that offense. Christian McCaffrey is what this offense is purely based around to do. Like, get him in the flat, get him in open spaces, open up opportunities for Deebo Samuel, one of the most dynamic players in the NFL as well, and George Kittle, one of the best tight ends, if not the best tight end. He is number one in PFF's grading so far this season. He can block, he can run, he's got a spot in Nashville, I know. He's got a pretty cool situation there. His wife's really hot. Anyway, Juwan Jennings, number 6 in PFF grading. Don't sleep on him either. This offense is dynamic, and when you have a left tackle who continues to be healthy, again, that's kind of the name of the game, and Mr. Williams on that left side, he's as good as it gets in football. I absolutely love him, especially Tristan Wirfs at Tampa Bay. That was a sad injury. Hopefully he's okay. Didn't look okay. Did I even break down Tampa Bay? I don't think they're on a bye, aren't they? Are they on a bye? Bye. Anyway, let's just say bye-bye to this game here. Seattle, we haven't seen a whole lot of life from them, but they get DK Metcalf back, and that, friends, has me worried. They come off of a bye. If they were not coming off a bye, and if it wasn't just 1 week of Christian McCaffrey, I would be betting 6.5 here. But all of the things and people that I talk to and the people who actually do trends, I'm not a trends person by any means, they're telling me to kind of stay away from this one. So I'm going to just stand pat. If it drops to 6, well, I'm probably going to bet it. I don't really give a shit. Shakira, Kansas City and Buffalo. This is your game of the week. Obviously, I'm excited to see Baltimore and Pittsburgh. I'm a Viking fan, so I care about that ugly Minnesota-Tennessee game. But everybody has starred, highlighted, circled this one. How many times have they met in AFC championship games in recent years? A lot is the answer. Buffalo continuing to not find ways over the hump here. They had the home game against Kansas City last season, didn't work out. And now they have the home game here in the regular season. So let's break it down. Kansas City gets Juju Smith-Schuster back. He was very effective before that hamstring injury, and now you have DeAndre Hopkins out there. Added more hops to it. That's when I was going to use that joke. As for Buffalo on the other side of this one, defensively, really starting to figure some things out here and shorted up nicely against Joe Flacco and company. Had 4 sacks despite not a blitz rate. Bottom 3 blitz rate in all of football. This is not one that I'm going to go out of my way to bet against Patrick Mahomes. Again, he's getting 2 points on the road. We've seen Patrick Mahomes as a road dog just smash in his lifetime, but he generally is good at football, so that shouldn't surprise anybody that is the case. But working through some of the injuries here, obviously at the wide receiver position, there is a ton of news that is still yet to drop. We got to see just how effective, just how healthy Amari Cooper is going to be out there. Keon Coleman out yet another week, but Amari Cooper, it is a wrist, so it's not a lower body injury. I just kind of need to see the practice report to some extent. But as for the time, I would have locked this for what it's worth if it weren't for, Amari Cooper not knowing exactly what's up. But for the time being, if you have a limited Amari Cooper or if things are just not right where he can't, a wrist is pretty important as a wide receiver. I'm going to throw it that way. I would have a Khalil Shakir to the moon here. He's at 57.5 receiving yards. It's a -113 at FanDuel. They've been kind of increasing the VIG there, -113, -113 on both sides. Not ideal. Not the way you want to be running a book, just saying, but they don't care. I'm going to bet it. Khalil Shakir over 57.5 receiving yards. If you get Cooper out, oh boy, I wish I had locked this for sure. And this is probably my favorite sneaky play of the week, Cincinnati taking on the Chargers. And one of the things that you always need to keep in mind is context. Now, Cincinnati, I don't know how many times I can bring it up. They get T. Higgins back, which is so gigantic for them. It's pretty much the most important player on any team at a non-quarterback position, which is an insane thing to say out loud, but hear me out. Cincinnati with T. Higgins, number 1 in EPA. Again, that's just what it is. It's a fact. They would be the best offense in football whenever T. Higgins is on the field. With him off the field, they fall to the bottom 5. We're talking 27th in the NFL currently right now in EPA per play. Looks a little bit better when you have Jamar Chase go for 250 yards and a couple trail tutties going up against Baltimore, but T. Higgins back is a big, big deal. He played himself into some money by not even playing, which is kind of funny. Cincy, I know you don't have all the money and all the land, and it's hard to make a book work when you have a expensive quarterback like Joe Burrow out there. Jamar Chase needs to get paid too, but these franchise tags, man, they are lethal to some of these young guys. As for the Chargers, this is where we're actually going to find the play. J.K. Dobbins, context matters. He has been doing all of the work, but we haven't seen J.K. Dobbins get a workload like this in his entire NFL career. When healthy with Baltimore, he was dynamic. He was incredible. As for Gus Edwards, was also there in Baltimore once upon a time. Never been the most dynamic guy, but he is a goal line back. He is somebody that you can trust to run downhill. And at plus 260 right now, plus 260 over at FanDuel. This is also plus 260 at Bet365. Gus Edwards' touchdown is where I want you invested in this. He had 4 carries in the red zone last week. Those turn into goal line opportunities very, very quickly. And also, J.K. Dobbins, he had such a large workload the last few weeks. It wouldn't surprise me to see Gus Edwards mixed in even more, specifically in running situations, specifically early downs. And that is the first opportunity you get to get in that box. 47.5 total, nice implied total, close competitive game here for the Chargers. Wild to say, but he looked a lot better to me. Probably was dinged up coming into the season and should have been out at the beginning of it. But anywho, looks much healthier now. This is a big number on a potential goal line. And that does it for another edition of Lindy's Leans, Likes, and Locks. You know what to do. Go to that comment section below. Let me know your favorite plays that exist on Week 11's board. Tons of plays. We're going to have even more there posted in tails. One more time for the people. 11 sites that you can sign up at. We got Pick'em on the left. We got Sportsbooks on the right. Hey-ho. Rebet down there at the bottom as well. We got the sweepstakes book. Awesome opportunity to sign up at any of these and be able to kick it in that Discord for free for 1 month. Follow 4 simple steps. That is right here for you. Take screenshots of your welcome email and first settled bet and email support@OddsShopper.com. Alrighty, y'all, let's get ourselves the heck up out of here. Let's keep this primetime thing going too. We'll be back for Monday Lindy's. Yes, Monday NFL Lindy's as well as Monday through Friday. Catching up, keeping you apprised of everything in the NBA streets. So check out NBA Lindy's as well. Until next time, friends, I'm Eric Lindquist. Best of luck in the NFL streets for Week 11.